Hello children, welcome you all once again to this third online session. We were discussing transport of food and minerals in plants and animals. In the previous session we began with transportation system in animals. So today we will continue. We will move on to antigens and antibodies. Antibodies are the proteins present in the plasma of the blood which react with foreign substances present in the blood and make it harmless. So sometimes any germ or any foreign body enters which may cause disease. In order to make it ineffective, in order to kill that foreign substance, some proteinaceous substances are produced in the blood plasma known as antibodies. So antibodies have the ability to fight with those foreign substances, those disease causing agents, and make them ineffective. What are antigens? Antigens are the proteins present on the surface of red blood cells which stimulate the synthesis of an antibody in the blood. So there are proteinaceous substances present on the surface of red blood cells known as antigens. There are many antigens present and they are responsible for our blood type. You will encounter this word antigen when you will study immunity system. Again, the term antigen is used for such germs or disease causing agents. Alright, so antigens, there you will study that antigens are foreign substances which can stimulate or trigger our immune response. So it may be a germ or a disease causing agent. However, the antigen which we are discussing right now, the proteins that are present on the surface of red blood cells, these antigens are also known as self-antigens. Against them, our immunity system will not work. Alright, so antigens are there which are present on the surface of red blood cells and they do not trigger any immune response. These antigens they basically act as cell surface markers and they are responsible for our blood type. You all know that we have different blood groups, right? A, B, AB and O. So these blood groups, I'll tell you in the next slide, I'll explain you that why we call it A, B, AB and O. Alright. So where are antigens present? On the surface of red blood cells. And where are antibodies present? In the blood plasma. See this table. If a person has blood type A, then the type of antigen that will be present on the surface of a red blood cell is also A. And blood plasma will have antibody B. If a person has blood type B, the antigen present on the surface of RBC will be B and the type of antibody in the blood plasma will be A. A person with blood type AB will have both types of antigens on the surface of red blood cells and will not have any antibody. Such people, they can receive blood from all the other blood types. That is why they are known as universal recipients. Blood type O, they do not have any antigens present on the surface of RBCs, but they have both types of antibodies present in their blood plasma. People with blood type O can donate blood to all the other three blood types as well. That is why they are known as universal donors. Now, due to some unfortunate incident, some accident, if a person loses a lot of blood, then what will happen? The person will need blood, right? So the transfer of blood from one person to another person is known as blood transfusion. But before considering a person as a donor, what happens? proper tests are done, because there has to be donor and recipient compatibility. A person with blood type A cannot donate blood to the person with blood type B. If this happens, then what will happen further? It will lead to clumping of red blood cells and the person may die. So donor recipient compatibility is necessary. Example is given: a person of blood group A can receive blood either from group A or O, as there are no antibodies for A and O in blood group A. I told you O is the universal donor, right? So O can donate blood to all other blood types, but if a person who's in need of blood has blood type A, can receive it apart from O, can receive it only from a person who also has blood type A. Apart from blood group, one more factor is considered before blood transfusion, and that is known as rhesus factor. Let us move on to the next slide to understand this. Rhesus factor. As I told you that there are several antigens present on the surface of red blood cells. One such antigen is very common. Around 85% people possess that antigen on red cells, and that antigen is known as rhesus factor. So if our RBCs are having this antigen, then we call such person Rh positive. If this factor is missing, we call the person Rh negative. So this factor decides whether our blood group will be positive or negative. So if we say blood group is A positive, that means rhesus factor is also present. So before blood transfusion, Rh factor is also matched. Otherwise, again same thing, RBCs will clump together. In the previous session, we discussed human circulatory system. We started discussing it, right? So I told you that this system comprises of blood vessels and heart. Blood we have already discussed. Moving on to blood vessels. Now there are three types of blood vessels: arteries, veins and capillaries. Arteries transport blood away from the heart. That means arteries carry oxygen rich blood, or in other words, oxygenated blood from heart to different parts of the body. Veins return blood back to the heart. That means veins carry deoxygenated blood from the different body parts to the heart. Capillaries connect branches of arteries and branches of veins. So its main function is to facilitate the absorption by the cells, right? So essential nutrients, minerals, oxygen, everything gets absorbed by the cells with the help of capillaries. They surround the body cells and tissues to deliver and absorb oxygen, nutrients and other substances. Now let us study each blood vessel in detail and try to observe differences. Alright, what are the differences between them? Arteries, thick and elastic muscular walls, because blood flow is rapid and at high pressure. So since blood is pumped from the heart to different body parts, it is pumped at a very high pressure. So in order to withstand that pressure, the walls of arteries are very thick. They lie deep under our skin and cannot be easily seen. I told you that arteries carry oxygenated blood from heart to different body parts. Now here you see there is one exception. There is one artery called pulmonary artery, and it is the only one that carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Veins. Veins are thin and less elastic muscular walls, because blood flow is not rapid and at low pressure. So you find one difference between arteries and veins. In case of veins, veins are thin and less elastic. They are less deeply situated than arteries, and you all can see your veins also. Right? If you just try, you all can see your veins. They have valves. Very important point, children. They have valves. So, why do they have valve? So that unidirectional flow of blood takes place. Alright. Again, here is one exception. I told you veins carry deoxygenated blood. Now, there is one vein, that is pulmonary vein, the one that carries oxygenated blood from lungs to the heart. So, pulmonary artery is the one that carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and pulmonary vein is the one that carries oxygenated blood from lungs to the heart. These are the two exceptions. Otherwise, arteries and veins, their functions are well defined. Arteries will carry oxygenated blood from the heart to different parts of the body, and veins will carry deoxygenated blood. Capillaries, they are extremely thin blood vessels, and as I've already told you, they facilitate absorption of essential nutrients by the body cells. Now, I have this small task for you all. You all will do these revision questions, and you may write the answers and leave it in the comment box. You will solve these questions and do it in your rough notebooks. I will see when the school reopens. The first question is the only artery which carries deoxygenated blood. You have to name the artery. You have to tell the function of pulmonary vein in the second question. Third question, function of white blood cells. We have discussed WBCs in the second session. The color of red blood cells is due to, you have to tell the name of the pigment which gives RBC its color. And fifth question, proteins present in the surface of RBCs which stimulate synthesis of antibody. You have to name the proteins. Alright. I hope the topics are clear to you. In order to write these answers, you can see the previous lectures once again if you do not have the book, and if you have the book, I want all of you to read the lesson till taught thoroughly. Alright? Thank you, children.